Story 1. Hi once again. I'm a 40-year-old woman, and my occupation, as I've introduced here before, is a corporate strategy consultant. My career is built on helping companies restructure, cut waste, and make better decisions. It's stressful, but it pays well because it requires a lot of analysis, planning, and some tough conversations at times. And I have a neighbor who has decided that my job means I should be her personal fixer. It started very small. She asked me one evening if I could take a quick look at her home business budget. I brushed it off politely that day, and to my greatest surprise, she dropped a binder in my lap, the next day like we had a scheduled meeting. I told her I can't give free consulting because that is literally how I make a living. Then she gave me this fake laugh and said, "Oh, come on, neighbors help neighbors. You'd do this for free if you had any heart." After that, I thought that was the end of it. Next thing I know, she starts showing up at my door with urgent requests, asking me to review her child's resume, wanting me to quickly strategize how she could convince her ex to pay more child support, and even demanding I role-play with her before she confronted her boss. I kept declining, and this time I told her point blank, "I'm not your therapist, lawyer, or business partner. I do this for paying clients, not neighbors who feel entitled and guilt-trip me into it." Like I didn't have any right to feel upset. She snapped that I was stuck up and thought I was better than everyone else because companies pay me thousands. She claimed I exploit people for money and that real neighbors wouldn't put a price tag on helping. The final straw was really difficult. She approached me outside while I was unloading groceries and shouted that I owed her after all the times she had waved at my kids or picked up packages from my porch. She said my refusal to help her was emotional neglect because I knew she was struggling and had the skills to make her life easier. This happened after she had already spread a lot of rumors about me, even in our neighborhood group chat, which I ignored. This time, I couldn't take it. I told her she was entitled, manipulative, and if she wanted strategy sessions, she could hire me like everyone else. She screamed back that she hoped all my clients would fire me for being heartless. Now, each time I step outside, there's this Cold War vibe on the street. She has even turned a few of the other neighbors against me as well. So this entitlement, the grudge, and the emotional pressure, it's all happening because I'm a consultant. And since she happens to be my neighbor, she thinks my career means she owns pieces of me for free. Story 2. So this was several years ago, but another story made me think about it. I used to show my horses at a local fairground, sometimes. Nothing fancy, just some local open shows, mostly western and barrel spolls. I have a big bay gelding, Dio, who gets a lot of compliments for how striking he looks. He's well known around the other regular show attendants. He's not registered, or even purebred, kind of just a horse of unknown mixed vaguely quarter horse-ish heritage. So not particularly high dollar, just pretty. He also is the horse equivalent of a golden retriever, absolutely loves everybody, especially if they give him a little attention. While I was in the ring showing another of my horses, Dio was standing at our trailer in the lot. I had a friend at a trailer nearby who was kind of keeping an eye on him for me, but she was working inside her trailer when, supposedly, Dio got loose. I came back a bit later as she was stepping out, and Dio was nowhere to be found. We asked around, and a couple of us spread out around the lot looking for him. No one had called out about a loose horse or seemed to have noticed him. Until my friend and I heard a bit of ruckus a few rows down. Someone struggling to load their horse. See, Dio loves people, and he loves food, but he really hates getting into small trailers. First off, he's a big guy and really just doesn't fit that well, and second off, he's always had some issues getting into trailers. We have a procedure and a big, roomy trailer, so he loads okay for me. A few rows down from our trailer, a woman and her teenage girl are trying to load this suspiciously familiar big bay gelding into an itty-bitty two-horse trailer next to another horse, and neither horse was having it. Just when we showed up, Dio yanked back and sort of half-reared up, pulling the rope away from the woman. "Having some trouble loading that horse?" I asked. "Oh, he just gets like this, really wound up after showing all day. You know barrel horses," she replies. Well, I think it's probably more of a problem if he doesn't load well, especially into strangers' tiny trailers, since he doesn't run barrels. What? What stranger? That's her horse that you are trying to steal. I think she'd know better. My friend tells her. What? No, he's ours. We found him. You found him? At a trailer? No, he was just running around loose, so we caught him. And how does that make him yours? Well, no one was looking for him, so you obviously don't care about him. My daughter loves him and wanted a horse to run barrels on. Well, your daughter is going to be sorely disappointed, because I raised him and care quite a lot about him. And also, he doesn't run barrels. He's terrified of them. I don't care. Jack is the horse I've always wanted. Mom, we have to get him. The entitled daughter says, Well, fine. How much do you want for him? Is $200 enough? Her mom asks me. He's not for sale and not named Jack. I'm going to take him back to my trailer now. Bye. Another of my friends had caught him by now and was handing his rope over to me. I am 100% ready to just walk away from this headache. No, Mom, you can't let her take Jack away, the daughter whined to her mom. No, you're not. Give that horse back to my daughter. Nope. There was some more arguing while I walked away. My friend got really fired up and started yelling. Maybe a half hour later, the lady comes storming up to my trailer with some poor deputy in tow. That's him. That's my daughter's horse. She's stealing my daughter's horse. I'll let you imagine the details of that encounter, but supposedly I had stolen this horse right from their trailer. I showed the cop a handful of pictures of us together on my phone, including one I had from when he was just a foal, and a few friends' acquaintances that were nearby and knew me attested that, yeah, Dio is in fact my horse. We also relayed the whole debacle to the officer, and my friend kept insisting we should press charges. Maybe I should have, but I just wanted to load up my horses and go home by then. We also mentioned the other horse, kind of worried it might have been found too, and he said he would check on it. The deputy then went off and talked to the woman and her daughter. It didn't look like a fun conversation for him. After a bit he came back and assured us that the other horse seemed to be theirs. She had pictures. He took down some of my information, and if we wanted to leave, we could. And so we did. Dio walked right into our trailer with minimal fuss even. A friend of mine that stuck around longer told me later that she'd seen the girl outright sobbing and yelling at her mom. Story 3. So, for those who followed my previous posts, long story short, my mother-in-law did not like me because of a silly cookbook gift, and it spiraled into months of passive aggression, accusations, prejudice, and even an actual $15,000 bribe to make me disappear. There's more to the story. It is now September, and for a while things had actually calmed down. I was relaxing, and we as a family, excluding Ben's parents, still got together, stayed in touch, and kept things steady. After everyone, meaning all the siblings and their spouses, collectively bowed out of my mother-in-law's birthday in August, some sent gifts, most just text and electronic gift cards. My boyfriend Ben, who is 36, blocked her number for the day because of the onslaught of woe is me messages and voicemails. I was not involved, and frankly it seemed to overwhelm him. Not long after, my father-in-law reached out on his own and offered a real apology to me directly. He said he missed his kids, especially Ben, and he did not try to excuse my mother-in-law's behavior anymore. I respected that, and he seemed very sad and sincere. He has been slowly getting back into the family, and he is mostly quiet but verbally kind and thoughtful. He did not tell my mother-in-law about any of this, which becomes relevant. Once my mother-in-law realized that my father-in-law was seeing everyone behind her back, she panicked, I guess. She sent me a message on Instagram, yes, really, and that alone was shocking because this woman barely knows how to work her iPhone, let alone Instagram. The message was long but not an apology. It was more of an, "I'm sorry you feel that way," wrapped in guilt sprinkles and vague sadness. I was not going to respond, but she begged Ben and eventually asked to meet in person to offer what she called a real apology. So, last Friday, we met with her, and I am going to be real with you all, she cried. Not big sobs, but quiet tears she was clearly trying to hold back. She apologized for her attitude and words, and said she did not want to be estranged from the family anymore. Honestly, I felt like a bully. She seemed so small and broken, and I thought, what if she really is trying? So, I checked in with the sibling group chat and asked what they thought. Every single one of them said the same thing: if I am okay with it, she can be invited to the Labor Day barbecue we were hosting at our place. So, I invited her. Yes, I know, I do not need to be told how much of a fool I was. The barbecue went fine. Everyone got along, my mother-in-law stayed polite, and nothing dramatic happened. Honestly, it was a good time. The whole family was back together, and despite it being a little awkward, everyone was sweet to one another. I loved it, and Ben was cautiously happy. But this morning, the day after the barbecue, I got a text from Ben as I was about to start cleaning up. I had taken paid time off today to recover from hosting. He said his mother texted him saying she could not find her loops, those noise-canceling earplugs. I do not really know how to explain them, but they are pretty pricey. She did not accuse me outright, but she wrote something along the lines of, I do not want to assume anything, but I am just confused. I know mine were pink, and I saw pink ones out in the open yesterday. I am hoping they just got misplaced, and that she did not want to replace hers with mine. Then she added that she was willing to buy me replacements of my own if I returned hers. Now here is the kicker. Ben bought her a pink pair and me a purple pair earlier this year. He remembered her saying she did not like loud spaces, and I get overstimulated easily at work, and went out. We have separate colors. I did not even wear mine yesterday, as I had mentioned to everyone that I could not find where in the house I had misplaced mine. I eventually found mine in my jacket pockets. I immediately started cleaning and checking, and lo and behold, her loops were in their original case on the bathroom ottoman, right next to the sink where she had left her purse. She left them. Full stop. But now I am upset. I feel bad that I am, but I am. I am not sad, just frustrated. Not because she misplaced something, but because she implied I may have taken them, in my own house, after I welcomed her back. Ben texted her and let her know we found them. He did not engage beyond that, and she did not respond. No apology. No oops. Just silence. Now I feel gross. I let her back in. I hosted. I forgave. And the first thing she does is try to quietly stir doubt about me again. Get out of here. Ben is working and running errands, and I am glad of that because I need the space to burn through my anger and focus on cleaning and housework. But this is so frustrating. Story 4. This happened back in 2013. The Nursing Council in my country organizes an annual 3-day convention in order to keep us updated on new developments in our profession. It is not mandatory, but it gathers a lot of people for 2 reasons. First, you can present a paper or research you worked on and be considered published. Second, because they hold the convention in a different city every year, it is a good excuse for a vacation. It usually takes place around the middle of May. Important background detail. Tourist season in my country begins in April. For about 2 years, the nurses in the company where I worked had combined efforts to write a paper about training and educating patients. I was the unlucky person chosen to do the presentation. We applied, and they gave us a spot early on the first day. The convention was held in a very popular tourist city inside a 5-star hotel. I, however, was staying in another, much cheaper hotel about €100 less per night. On the morning of the presentation, I went in wearing my dark blue business suit and tie, while carrying my laptop. I gave the presentation, and everything went well. Afterwards, I found a classmate of mine from nursing school and decided to grab a coffee with her, because she wanted to attend another presentation later on. We agreed not to leave the hotel and instead went to the patio where they had a cafe. We sat on the patio, catching up and enjoying our coffee, the sunshine, and the pleasant atmosphere. The patio was almost full at that point, mostly with student nurses and other people from the convention. The cafe staff was quite busy handling all the guests. At some point, my friend excused herself to visit the bathroom, and I pulled out my phone to check my messages. Suddenly, I felt someone looming over me. Then I heard a high-pitched voice say, "Excuse me." I turned my head and saw a rather irritated woman staring at me as if I had done something wrong. She looked like the stereotypical Karen type: the haircut, the expensive clothes that somehow still looked cheap, and, of course, the attitude. She said, "My friends and I have been waiting for someone to take our order for 5 minutes." She pointed a couple of tables over where 2 other women, dressed similarly, were sitting. Confused, I replied, So get off your break and come take our order," she snapped. "I don't think so," I said, trying to stay calm. "You have to wait for one of the servers. I don't work for the—" Before I could finish, Karen leaned closer to my face and said, "Listen here, you worker. We are paying customers, and you are going to do as you are told. Break time is over." With that, she swept her arm across my table, knocking over the coffees and glasses of water. The drinks spilled all over me, but mostly onto the laptop sitting next to me. At that point, I was furious. I stood up, and the size difference between us was very noticeable. I am 6 feet 4 inches tall and weigh around 225 pounds. She was maybe 5 feet 6 inches, even while wearing 3-inch heels. "Listen up, you little troublemaker," I told her firmly. "I don't work here, and even if I did, I would not serve people who behave with such an attitude. If something happened to my laptop, you are going to pay for it." She looked shocked and shouted, "You dare to threaten me? Do you know who I am?" "No, and I don't care," I replied. "You're just acting like an entitled person." By that point, many people were looking at us, and a server was walking quickly toward the situation. The servers were all dressed in black pants, white shirts, and black aprons. Then Karen tried to slap me, but I caught her hand just as the server reached us. The server asked, "What is happening here?" Karen immediately said, "Your colleague is refusing to take our order and is threatening me." The server glanced at me and replied, "Madam, this man does not work here. He is a customer." Apparently, that information did not process for her, because she continued shouting until a manager and hotel security arrived. When the manager arrived, he asked what had happened. I explained calmly, "This woman insulted me, deliberately spilled coffee on me and my personal belongings, and then tried to strike me. I would like to press charges." The mere mention of involving the police set Karen off on another rant. She started shouting about how it was discrimination against foreign tourists, how she would sue both me and the hotel, and how everyone should show more respect to their betters. It was quite the performance, to say the least. The aftermath was fairly straightforward. I followed through and pressed charges against her, while Karen was escorted out of the hotel by security. I am not sure what happened to the rest of her group, as they seemed to disappear from the scene once things escalated. Unfortunately, my laptop was completely ruined. The zipper of my bag had been slightly open, so all the spilled coffee poured directly inside and onto the computer. The hotel, clearly embarrassed by the incident and eager to make things right, offered me a complimentary weekend stay at the hotel at a time of my choosing. About a year later, I received a settlement for the damages. It was a rather hefty sum, around €3,500, which more than covered the cost of replacing my laptop and the trouble I had gone through. So in the end, what started as a frustrating encounter with an entitled guest turned into a situation where justice was served. Karen lost her temper, her dignity, and her standing at the hotel, while I walked away with both compensation and an unforgettable story to tell. Story 5. How are you all doing? I wanted to share this experience after my friends and I were reminiscing about a time before the lockdown and quarantine. While in a dungeon raid, we brought up my experience with a Karen. It has been a long time, and I nearly forgot such a funny moment. It happened about 4 years ago, so this is not word for word, but here we go. The cast is me, crazy lady, employee, and the owner. A few years back, a friend and I went out of state to visit another friend of ours. When we arrived, We decided to go to his favorite anime goods store, mainly to wait until he was done with his work. This place had everything an anime fan could want: model kits, t-shirts, plushies, figurines, DVD and Blu-ray box sets, and more. We browsed through all of the goods and even made friends with some of the employees. Most of the conversations were about our experiences at conventions, recommendations for hotels, and other bits of advice to help make our anime fandoms even more enjoyable. I went to the manga section to check the prices and see if I wanted to take some home. I went up and down the tightly packed bookshelves when I suddenly heard the call of a woman I would later call Crazy Lady. Crazy Lady, excuse me. At that moment, I was debating on getting Until Death Do Us Part or Monster Musume. Crazy Lady, hello. At this point, I was wondering if there was an employee around because the voice of Crazy Lady was getting louder. All the while, I was still in a mental battle with myself over which manga I should buy. Eventually, Crazy Lady hovered next to me, only a foot away, her hands on her hips and her face looking down. Mind you, I am exactly 5 feet tall, so nearly everyone seems tall from my perspective. Crazy Lady, do I, need to talk to you in China to get your attention? I suddenly realized she was talking to me for the first time. Me, no, you don't need to do that to get my attention. But it is an easy way to lose my attention. She did not look like the usual Karen. Rather, she looked like a stuck-up college student. She had fake blonde hair tied in a ponytail, yoga pants, a university sweater, and looked like she had just come from a workout class. Maybe she was the pre-evolution of a Karen, or the child of a Karen, because she was giving off that "let me see your manager" vibe. I don't know. I had yet to encounter the typical middle-aged Karen with the short hairstyle. Crazy Lady, excuse me? You can't talk to me like that. Me? You can't talk to me like that either. Her face froze as she tried to load a response to my attitude. After a short stare-down that lasted a few seconds, I put away the manga and moved on to the next set of shelves. I was hoping that was the end of it. But no, Crazy Lady followed me as I was going through the next set of shelves. Crazy Lady, I don't know what your problem is, mister, but you need to help me. It's your job. Stop messing around with the books and help me find my sweater. Me, no, it's not. This is definitely not my job. I don't work here. Crazy Lady, ooh, yes it is. Who else would work here? Me, an actual employee? Maybe, like the one by the front door. Crazy Lady, yeah, well you're here and I don't like this service or your attitude. Don't think I'm foolish. You people run this store, so you definitely work here. Unknown to her, the store was not completely run by Asian people. The owners, who I had a brief conversation with earlier that day, were an Asian couple. The staff, on the other hand, were not all Asian. The cashier was a Hispanic woman with an Idol Masters t-shirt. The person restocking and cleaning some of the shelves was a blue-haired white guy with a sweatshirt featuring a Metal Gear Solid unit logo. Why she thought all the staff had to be Asian is beyond me. Back to my conversation with her. Crazy Lady, oh my goodness, how hard is it to do your job? Hello? I know you understand English. Me again, I do not work here. Crazy Lady, yes, you do. Me, let me make this easier for you to understand. Lady, I do not work here. I am from New York City. I do not live in this state, and I am not employed in this state. Most employees would still put up with your attitude and help you. Notice how I'm not helping you in any way. Want to know why? Before she could answer, I did it for her. I made my lamest attempt at a ballerina jump and sang my response, just to make this a little more entertaining. Me singing, I don't work here. I got to see her face twist into a mix of confusion and frustration as I moved away from her sight and went back to browsing. All the while, I could hear the most dramatic groan from the other side of the store. Fast forward to a few minutes later, and we were just about done looking around. My friend had to get a master-grade Barbados model kit. We headed to the cashier to pay for our items when suddenly Crazy Lady appeared right behind us. Before my friend could even speak to the cashier, Crazy Lady jumped in and spoke directly to her. Crazy lady, excuse me. I have a problem with this employee here. The actual employee looked at me and then back at her. Employee, I'm sorry, but he doesn't work here. I'm gonna guess she didn't like the idea of being wrong, so she doubled down and raised her voice. Crazy lady, don't even lie to me. I know this guy works here. I've seen him here before. The employee was stunned that she was being spoken to so rudely. You could sense how frustrated she was, but she kept her calm expression and did her best to resolve the situation. Employee, miss, please. He doesn't work here. He's a customer. He's not even from this state. If you just give me a moment, I can help you. Crazy lady, no, don't treat me like I'm foolish. Get your manager and have him speak with your employee. Don't cover for him. Just get your manager and talk to this guy. Employee, he's not an employee. If he was, he would have helped you already. At that moment, the owner came to the rescue. He walked through the front door and overheard the argument. Owner, what happened here? Crazy lady, oh my goodness, are you the manager? Owner, yes. I own this store. What happened? Crazy lady, yeah, your staff have been nothing but rude. This guy she pointed at me did not help, gave me a bad attitude, and your cashier is defending him. I want him fired, right now. You can't treat a frequent customer like this. The owner looked at me, and I just shrugged. The cashier, on the other hand, had an exhausted expression while shaking her head. At this point, the owner was being bombarded by Crazy Lady's rant about how I was a bad employee and how she didn't deserve this kind of treatment. I could see that the owner wasn't having it. Instead of listening to more of Crazy Lady's complaints, he simply opened the door, pointed outside, and looked away from her. Owner, you go now. You need to go now. Crazy lady, what? Hello? Do you not understand me? I was treated rudely by your staff. The owner kept pointing toward the door without looking at her. Owner, no. You not understand. You go now. Then the owner pointed to me and the cashier. Owner, he no work here. She work here. You go. You go or I call the police. Crazy lady, oh my goodness. You guys, I swear, you just lost a frequent customer. Do you have any idea how many followers I have? Owner, go. You bother store, you go now. Don't need you. She dropped her items, a sweater and a cat plush, and stormed off. But not before letting out a high-pitched groan scream mix in the parking lot. The owner's wife came out of the office and wondered what had just happened. She had been watching the security cameras and asked about the problem. The owner said something in Chinese as he kept an eye on Crazy Lady leaving the area. I'm guessing he was making sure she wasn't coming back. He then explained to his wife what happened, while the cashier simply rang up my friend's items. My friend, still in awe, could barely process what we had just witnessed. Once everything calmed down, the three of us, my friend, the cashier, and I laughed it off. The store owners, husband and wife, apologized to me, but I wasn't too bothered. I told them I lived in New York City, and people acting strangely is practically a normal occurrence. Still, I never thought I'd have such an encounter in a store that sells anime goods. Just goes to show you, you need to be cautious, because unusual people can appear in any store or restaurant. Story 6. An encounter from about a few years ago, when I was young, not even a teenager, but I don't specifically remember how old. So, this story happens in the lobby of a hospital. I had some throat problems, not important, and had come to get that checked. I had come with my father, who has the title of an important foreign diplomat, and when we go into crowded places, such as that hospital, we have a few guards with us. We had just finished, and we were sitting in a corner, away from all public, waiting for the reception to clear up so he could pay the bills. A few minutes pass, and he goes to pay. I'm all alone with no one and no guards around me, although they kept with the occasional glances to see if everything was okay. Along comes Karen and her hexspawn of 4 children. Not really the Karen by appearance, but boy did her personality speak for itself. I was playing a game on my phone, a helicopter game or something, not important, and just minding my own business when one of the kids came over to me and looked at my phone. He just kept staring at the screen and eventually asked what I was playing. I replied with the name of the game. He then watched for a few minutes, and the other children also came up, grouping around me. One of the guards took a glance and gestured if he should intervene, but I, not being that type, gestured him away. Now, all was good till one of the kids asked if he could play. I wasn't really comfortable, but I don't know why I still let him play. And he ran off with it. The entirety of the hexbond following. He went to his mother, and I quickly got up and followed him. His mother looked like she didn't care about the fact her son randomly had a phone, and just pretended to listen to his endless blabbing about how I gave him my phone. And when I asked for my phone back, she quickly turned to me, and the conversation goes as follows. Cast, entitled Mother, entitled Kids 1, 2, and 3, Guards 1 and 2, Dad and me. I asked for my phone back. Entitled Mother, sorry what? Me, ma'am, can I have my phone back, please? What phone? That one, I point to it. My son found that phone, it's his. No, ma'am, he took it from me. No, he wouldn't do that. Why would he want to steal from such a cheap slob anyway? I don't even think you have one. Me being a kid, I am speechless. The entitled Kid 1, who took the phone in the first place, came up with another kid. This one will be Kid 3, who was older than me. Kid 3 pushed me and told me to get lost. I wasn't thinking to look around for the guards because my brain at that time was a peanut. I slowly start sobbing, and the entitled Kid 1 starts laughing as Kid 3 mocks my crying and calls me a baby and stuff, which came out harsh to me at the time. I'm so embarrassed saying this. It was at this time that my dad was done with the bills and came around the corner to where I was sitting. Saw me crying a few feet ahead with some teenager mocking me. One of the guards quickly ran up and pushed entitled Kid 3 aside. Guard 1, get back, now. Entitled Kid 3 is taken aback, not expecting this to happen. What's your problem? The entitled mother screams, he pushed my son, he's trying to hurt us, help. The security officer who had come up was in a suit, and you don't see that in my country often. So the entitled mother didn't think even the slightest bit that it was a security officer. At this point, my father had come up, and he's pretty angry, but he kept his cool and shot some angry looks with the officers who left to speak with the woman. The officer who came to save me quickly took me aside. Guard 2, are you okay? Did they hurt you? Me? He pushed me. I point to Kid 3. Okay, I'll talk to him. At this point, entitled Kid 2 walks up to me. He has my phone in his hand and looks like the youngest. He hands me my phone and says, sorry, with a long face. I was taken to the car, and my father showed up some time later, who said he had gone to talk with the reception to complain about the family. It's a pretty dumb story, but I guess I need to post it somewhere.